Good morning. Well, let me start by asking the current R&D ambassadors to come and join me here. Celsa Sanchez, Citerio, Richard Chani, Andres Cortés, and Hernan Adolfo Samaniego. Let me start by before recognizing them. I think that the most interesting thing is what I'm going to tell you is what the ambassadors program is about, and I wanted to mention a program that is still open so that you may understand some of the things that we look for. Could you please? Yes. What do we look for with this program that we call R&D ambassadors? Well, what we are aiming, we want to get two things. First of all, to get new technological leaders in the region and to enhance and to make them more powerful. And on the other hand, we want them to help us implement our mission at LACNIC in the implementation of R&D infrastructure. That's why we call them R&D ambassadors. We want them to be our ambassadors. And one of the most important parts in the program is to support them so that they may become local leaders. And a part of our program is helping them build their personal brand that distinguishes them from the rest, and to establish a sustainable link between ambassadors and their work. The idea is that afterwards they may remain connected through other activities. So we extended that to in 2025. It's open, and the call is going to be open until May 16. The idea, for those of you who are interested, is to submit an annual plan from June 2025 to June 2026, providing details of the experiences, the activities that you plan to organize that year. It should not exceed $2,000, and that is what will help the budget that will help you implement those activities. What activities? Well, not just any research. It's quite specific. In the next slide, we'll see the topics that we want to promote. But basically, what we want is to improve the technological capacity, either with infrastructure or training of human resources in a region or a country where the ambassador works. Now you'll see their work, how they enhanced their regions through the contact with operators, with universities, with other organizations, precisely to improve both the technological infrastructure and human capacities. Basically, the idea is to have these ambassadors promote these infrastructure or research programs that we have, essentially among the network operators in the region. I said, please send your calendar, a working plan, and the selection is done based on your activities and the potential impact in the region. That is, if you propose to deploy, to implement a certain technology for one operator, it won't be so interesting. Now, if you propose, for instance, organizing workshops or deploying a number of things in different networks. And you may have the collaboration of LACNIC, our R&D centers with Elisa Peirano and Alejandra Costa. That is the idea. We want you to become the liaison between ourselves and the operators. So, as I was telling you, the topics that ambassadors have to work with or that we expect them to work, it's not just anything, but it's these in terms of infrastructure, implementing Anycast DNS copies, implementing BGP collectors, or RPKI, IPv6, DNSSEC, etc. As to human capacity strengthening, local capacities through workshops, etc., where we give a strong support, or research studies or publications in LACNIC's blog. So those activities, a set of those are what we aim at. What are the benefits of being an ambassador? Well, on the one hand, we give them a space in the annual agenda, and we pay their travel to in May for the next event, developing their personal branding, and we enhance the visibility of their work, the work of the ambassadors through LACNIC channels. So from R&D, we help them implement the activities. So I don't want to go any longer. There you have their names so that you may see their faces. Andrés Cortés, Elsa Sánchez, Raidme Citerio, Hernán Samaniego, and Richard Hujani. So, wrapping up, what have we achieved so far? What was this first session like? The first session was in 2024. We consider that it was a very successful ambassadors activity. We managed to reach very highly qualified people, many more than in the past or in the places where they live. But we've also noticed that with our activities, we reached a public that we had to reach. Network operators, people who are interested on these topics. And maybe in the past we would organize webinars, and we have quite a mixed, heterodox public. Some people are very knowledgeable, others are newcomers, people that are there just by chance. But here we see that the profile of the people that attended those workshops or webinars, they were very highly qualified people. So we managed to reach audiences that were not our usual audiences. We organized activities with the banking industry so that they would implement RPKI, and government officials. And we see that ambassadors have become local opinion leaders. They're going to tell you about that. And we have worked very strongly with R&D and BGP, with IPv6, important implementations of measurement probes. So we advanced with the BGP collectors and publications and the LACNIC blog, etc. Many things. So I want to thank Alejandro and Elisa, because they gave a great support to this project, and they had to work quite hard, much more than usual. And I leave you with the link, the QR of the call for 2025. And remember that the call is open until May 16th. That's all I had to tell you. Now I'm going to give the floor to Celsa, who will tell us about her successes and challenges and the main conclusions she can draw. Good morning. I don't know whether you can help me with the presentation. Thank you. My name is Celsa Sanchez, and I work as a systems engineer at LACNIC, IT engineer at LACNIC Chile, in NIC Chile. And this year I worked in a project that I called Internet in Chile, strengthening our measurement tools. And we found a number of challenges when we started to work. Some of them are here in the list. A low distribution of measurement probes in Chile. We had probes in the center of the country, but we needed them to be further south or further north, and in those places where there were none. And there was very little involvement of the local ISPs in BGP route collectors, and a low validation of DNSSEC, and a very poor uptake of the practice of RPKI. That is not just a technical problem, but it has a negative impact on many stakeholders. It affects us as network operators, as the technical people, because we need more measurement tools so that we can measure from different sites in our countries. But it also has a negative impact on researchers who need more data to be able to conduct research, not just with local data, but also real data. Sometimes researchers, as they contact us, they tell us that sometimes it's very difficult for them to get real data, at least in terms of the routing tables. And this affects the general population that are not so exposed because they lack development in some of the technologies. So before implementing the project, I posed a number of questions and before thinking how to address these topics. One of them was, can you be secure if your neighbor or your region or your country is not secure?
And we all use an internet provider to go out to the internet. So if they don't implement RPKI, how secure can we be? Or do we need to consult the domain, the recursive DNS servers who help us reach that domain, do validation through DNSSEC? If they don't do so, how secure can we be? The other question I asked myself, how important is it to grow in community when we grow in terms of security? Very often in the technical field, we make efforts to do developments and implementations in our own organization, and sometimes we leave aside the community. So I found quite a strong support in local tools and local developments, like CL Node, or in other countries like where Raimund Benot is. So we use these tools for the purpose of connecting with the community. This question led me to this heading of the presentation, which is collective security. We all live in a community. Nobody in the internet advances on their own. We all advance as a community. So ultimately, your security depends on the security and the status in your region. So we have to share our knowledge with the community surrounding us. So as part of what we did, this involved disseminating the RIPE Atlas program. We organized talks, we provided probes to the participants, we promoted BGP route collectors, and we organized technical talks on relevant topics for the communities, such as BGP, RPKI, DNSSEC. We also collaborated with the LACNIC ambassadors. Each one of us has different clients, so we managed to provide support among all of us as a team. Let me share with you the results of this year's work. We did quite a lot of things this year, so let me share the results with you. Regarding RIPE Atlas, we began the project with 58 active probes in Chile. And when I consulted last week, there were 84 active probes. This accounts for a 45% increase, which is quite a lot. Now, the important thing is that this growth was not only in the capital city, where we had quite a number of probes too, but we managed to have probes in areas where we had no probes in the past. And this is quite a milestone. This helps us to be able to reach and measure things in those zones where this was impossible in the past. The support of the universities was very important, and this accounts for the growth we had. There's an organization called REUNA, which is a university network, and during that meeting we managed to share this project with them. We took some probes, we got in contact with professors and researchers, and in addition to receiving these probes and placing them in their regions, they continued setting up these probes in other places in order to do tests between the different cores. So the university community, as usual, is a fundamental support in all the projects we have. Regarding the BGP route collectors, a major provider in Chile called Entel connected to this collector, and personally I was very happy with this personally, as I said, because we didn't have any major internet provider feeding these tables, and now we do have one. So it is very important to connect with these local internet providers so they provide input for the tables and bring us closer to the end users. It is thanks to them that in the routing studies we can be closer to the end users in our country. Regarding the talks, we organized talks on RIPE Atlas in the north of the country and also on DNSSEC in the capital city. We organized several strategic meetings with internet providers in order to motivate them and regarding the deployment of RPKI. I would like to share with you a question that I made in one of the talks on DNSSEC. This was whether they had practical knowledge on DNSSEC. Almost 80% responded that they did not have practical knowledge on DNSSEC. So this is quite a significant number. So we see two things here. We have a community that wishes to learn about DNSSEC and have the time to invest in the study of DNSSEC. And secondly, we have now identified a community and we have to speak about DNSSEC to them. So even though this is a number that might not be so motivating, this is an opportunity to go there and provide the information required by the community. Now, before I close, I'd like to reinforce the concept that we have to invest in the community. We live in a community. It is important to share our knowledge with the community and to identify in our regions who are those individuals who have the motivation to bring about change. We must not forget our communities. We have to continue investing in the communities. To close, I would like to express my thanks to the ambassadors program on R&D, Guillermo, Alejandro, and Elisa, who worked closely with us to NIC Chile, which is the company I work for, and for the support received this year. This was a year of professional growth that was quite important, and I was also allowed to reach the communities in Chile and at least make my small contribution so that things can improve in terms of our infrastructure in the country. This is my QR code, so we can connect through LinkedIn. And as there are organizations in the public, I'd like to encourage you to provide support to your collaborators so that they join this program. This is not only an advantage for those who are here, but it's also an advantage for the organizations. This provides visualization, and it speaks very well about an organization that is concerned about the development of the internet in the region. So thank you very much. This is what I wanted to share with you. I give the floor to the next ambassador. Thank you, Celsa. I will now give the floor to Andres Cortés from Costa Rica, who will be telling us about his vision. Good morning. I'm Andres Cortés. I'm from Costa Rica. I'd like to start my presentation with these two questions so that we can create a space for reflection and insight with each of you, and then through the results I will be sharing with you, I will be answering these questions. I work for the municipality of Carrillo. This is a local government in the province of Guanacaste in Costa Rica. We are a local government, a pioneer in the implementation of free software and Linux, and also regarding things related to LACNIC. In mid-2023, we deployed and made the transition to IPv6. We also configured our own autonomous system and even obtained the Manners certification, the mutually agreed norms for secure routing. We are a municipality that has stood out from the 85 municipalities in Costa Rica. We have the only ones who have done our homework. We did the transition to IPv6 through the dual stack model. Alejandro gave me some homework. I listened to his presentation, so these are things that we have to fine tune as well. Now, in this case, let me explain that we are like the last link in the chain. We are the end users of all the ISPs, of the traffic exchange points, and all those of you who are here, like Celsa was here, so that we can have a secure ecosystem. Each of the stakeholders has to do the task at hand. It's not that because we just pay for a contract and pay for a service that we don't have to do anything in terms of our technological infrastructure. It's quite the opposite. We have to pay attention to everything that has to do with IPv6, BGP, RPKI, and all these security mechanisms in order to adapt these and adopt these to our situation so that we can become an active part of this ecosystem and the wonderful world of the internet. Likewise, we set up an Atlas Anchor probe in our infrastructure. You can see on the screen, this is also mentioned by Manners and by RIPE Atlas, where they highlight the coat of arms of the municipality of Carrillo. So that was at institutional level. The achievements, these are achievements that were made parallel to my role as an ambassador. This other slide deals with the results and achievements, and personally now wearing the hat of a R&D ambassador for Costa Rica in terms of promoting and setting up the RIPE Atlas probes. This was an activity where we exceeded the expected results. Initially, we had expected to set up 4 RIPE Atlas probes, but we ended up installing 9 RIPE Atlas probes, 9 active probes, and 2 that were delivered to the National University but haven't yet been connected. So that number will increase further. Likewise, in terms of anchor probes, we installed 1 in our own infrastructure, as I already mentioned, and also in an ISP in the zone of Guanacaste, which is called Cope Guanacaste. You can see on the map the before and after maps. The first one was in 2024, before the ambassadors program began. In the Guanacaste's area of Costa Rica, we had no probes. We only had in the province of San Jose, and only few, 4 more or less. But after, you see the green points, and these are the areas where I was active through the ambassadors program, and thanks to the support of Elisa and Micaela, which then led to the current map. A further challenge that we had through this program was to write an article as part of the results obtained institutionally with the transition process to IPv6 and the implementation of the autonomous system. One of the things we had to do was to explain and publish an article of our experience. The deployment of IPv4, we are queuing in LACNIC's waiting list, but as a broker, we managed to obtain a block from Afrinic. This did give us a couple of headaches regarding geolocation during 2 or 3 months, but all that is something that I wanted to include in this article that was published so that other people who are considering implementations such as mine or have to face this challenge have reference materials or have a success case of something that has been implemented so that they know what are the steps that have to be followed and how we overcame many of these inconveniences. Now, I love to write, so as part of the transition process, I said, why not write another article explaining the process that we had systematized, and in order to share this with the community, not only with people from Costa Rica, but also with people from other people from the region, so that they can also see how we proceeded and managed to do a successful implementation. This is not just text. I also had infographics containing valuable information on the step-by-step process that has to be carried out to complete this process. So this is something that makes me feel very proud, because I feel that I'm making an active contribution to what LACNIC is promoting in the region.
With regards raising awareness and engaging the stakeholders in Costa Rica, we organized several webinars with support of Guillermo, Elisa, Alejandro, Erika Vega. So here you have all the numbers, the people that register, and in the case LinkedIn, as Guillermo said, we received advice on how to go about with our branding. I didn't have a LinkedIn when I started with this. Today I have one, and they told me that it's very well built, and I have over 500 contacts, which I would never have imagined that. Although I'm an IT engineer, my experience in social media was very poor, but today I have a name, I have a brand, I'm a leader in the region, and that is why that made it possible for me to be standing in front of you, very optimistic and with great expectations about the future. This is but the beginning, and I'm interested in being connected with LACNIC and all the projects that they continue to promote in the region. Finally, I'd like to share what the program has left me at a professional level and at an institutional level. LACNIC is a window. It makes it possible to showcase our work in Costa Rica. I live in a province that is quite distant, but it makes it possible for me to come here and increase my visibility, not just in the region, but globally, sharing our outcomes and success stories. So that is what I'm taking home, and I want to, and I thank Guillermo and all those that supported us for making it possible for me to be here, standing to tell you part of what I love and what I feel that will be motivation and reference for the people that want to apply for the future sessions. Here we learn more and we enhance not just our professional capacities, but we also build a network of people, contacts, friends and in the future we can get together and implement even more marvelous things. And finally, a call to action. Here there are many company managers, ISPs, people that are decision makers, and as a faculty, of our university. We need to support the current generations that are studying now. Sometimes they need an internship, sometimes they need a professional practice, and they can't do it. And those of us are committed to the principles of LACNIC. So I encourage you to open more opportunities so that our professionals may be better trained and on issues like IPv6, RPKI, BGP, because very often in the universities you can't go so in depth. But here you have a whole range of possibilities and professionals that are willing to share their knowledge, and we can train better professionals that may get actively involved with LACNIC so that together we may build a secure and resilient internet in our region. Thank you.
Gracias, Andrés. Ahora le doy la palabra a Richard.
Thank you. Now, Richard from Bolivia.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenos días a todos. Bueno,
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to give you my report of the activities as an R&D ambassador in Bolivia. I'm Richard Huchani. I'm from Bolivia. And let me give you a preamble of Bolivia. Bolivia has a vast territory, and we have more than 12 million people, and with a very promising future. We have a range of potentials, but we are willing to do better, and we have high expectations. So what have I been doing as an ambassador? Well, currently we have 67 ASNs, including universities, ISPs, local governments, private companies, you name it. And I'm involved with different stakeholders in my country. Here I want to show you the results we got after what my colleagues mentioned as to the goals of this program, ambassadors. One of the three that I want to highlight has to do with RIPE Atlas, the probes, the measurement probes. It's a very good project. You see there that in mid-2024, that's when we started, we joined this program in Bolivia. Until then, we had 12 probes in different sites of our departments, in this case in Santa Cruz and La Paz. And one of my objectives to diversify the probes in different places and not just in locally but in others. So we one in Oruro, one in Arija, in the south and the north of Bolivia. In the trunk axis we increased in Santa Cruz and 3 probes in Cochabamba and 5 probes in La Paz. Overall, we managed to have 23 probes of stationary growth in May, and the expectation is that will grow over 90% increase thanks to this RIPE Atlas project. Another project that I want to highlight is IPv6 project. The uptake of IPv6 in Bolivia, well, it's grown a lot. You see it there in the chart. In mid-May, we started with this project ambassadors, and I got deeply involved with the banks, the universities, ISPs, and we succeeded in increasing the uptake of IPv6 by 8%, 9% actually. And from 20% we got to 31% adoption of IPv6. Another thing that I want to highlight is the project, the RPKI project. The publishing the IPv4 and IPv6 prefixes were always very successful, always over 90%, as you can see there in the image. Bolivia is a country in the adoption and the publication of the IPv4 prefixes always over 95%, and in IPv6 over 90%. These results that I've shared and I've shown were done based on a number of activities that I've implemented in the country. Actually, I held 9 events, both in person and online. In the chart, I wanted to highlight my involvement with the involvement of a number of universities, population, civil society, network administrators that were present in a number of talks, public utilities, IXPs, universities. Overall, I got to 308 people that participated in the webinars or the workshops that I organized. And a plus that I want to highlight, thanks to this ambassadors project, this isn't something that not happened just to me, but it's also shared by some colleagues, that we managed to reach our universities thanks to these projects, especially to the meetings organized in our country, because it aroused a lot of interest about young researchers, the faculty of different universities, network administrators, engineers that may not be so closely involved in this. They're more technical people, and to investigate more about RPKI, DNS, and the AI, other technologies. For instance, at present, there are 3 people that are conducting research on internet measurements with RIPE Atlas project, and I'm sure that you'll have a chance to hear the results. Those are 3 young researchers of 2 universities, and I'm helping them, giving support as they do that. So, wrapping up, being an ambassador, an R&D ambassador, made possible to strengthen the technical ecosystem. And in a way, it is good for reducing the digital divide that we see in Bolivia, trying to generate research to write more scientific papers promoting the various technologies in the region. And finally, I want to thank LACNIC for giving me this opportunity in this program. Guillermo, Elisa, Alejandro, all the support that I got, Michela. Thank you for all your support and your knowledge, how you shared it. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Now, let's invite Hernan from Ecuador. Good morning, everyone. One of my dreams was to stand here, but as a singer. I think that time of glory is not here yet. But in the meantime, I'll talk about R&D. I'm Hernan Samaniego. I'm an R&D ambassador for Ecuador, and I'm going to call my presentation 365 days conducting research. I see you all with your laptops. We enter the internet with our mobiles, and I wondered whether who will give me the internet? So I ended I was so curious that I ended here in LACNIC, who had a very clear path already drawn, and so I applied to this ambassadors project. So these were the challenges that I set. Like, for instance, let's implement IPv6. Some people say, no, this is new, I don't want to get involved. So we turned that resistance into curiosity, challenging people to join the internet. Some people said, well, the internet crashed, and so where is it now? And so there were tools to measure the internet, and they actually work, but we didn't know them in Ecuador. And an interesting thing, when I talked about LACNIC, people would ask, and what is that? Sometimes we were not known in many places, and it was a beautiful challenge starting to work in Ecuador. And we worked setting objectives, like promoting the implementation of IPv6. So operators should move away from IPv4 and adopt IPv6. But you can measure things when you have a lot of people, a community. I was struck because here there are many information nodes that we talk with every day. We've shared a coffee and maybe some beer, but talking things, strengthening technical capacities of researchers. The people that I met this year that have a better training and are more knowledgeable about the internet are in this community, and I was so happy to take them to my country to share this experience and to consolidate a technical community so that we can take advantage of the advantages of LACNIC. And this is my second event of LACNIC. There's a lot of work, a lot of effort that sometimes we don't see in our countries, and what's happening is very important. We organize an activity every month.
We organize activities so that the people would know that there's a path to follow to learn. We worked with ISPs, I worked with different universities. We even invited many people from LACNIC who helped us with these jobs. We organized a WhatsApp community where we inform them about what is happening. Now, we have on the left the status of internet measurements, and today we have a country that has more ways of communicating and measuring the internet. We have a balance in favor, and particularly we have some commitments with ISPs that are interested in becoming part of this probe community. We organized 7 webinars with people who supported us a lot, from Alejandro Acosta, who is like a rock star. He's one day in Mexico, another day in Venezuela, another day in Ecuador, and then we find him in the podcast. So it is amazing. And Henry too, thank you so much. Henry has supported us with IPv6 issues. We have lost the fear, and we also learned something about Portuguese. But Erica Vega, we also brought her. We imported her from Colombia for a couple of days. We have more than 400 researchers from different universities that have received training, and we have made these training activities available, mostly technical activities. We have 18 RIPE probes, and we have a WhatsApp group where every day I include different topics and things that they can do, and also things that they can learn about. This is like a slide I prepared with several screenshots of various activities. Elisa is there. Thank you so much, Elisa. But you know, like in Europe, Sometimes people participate from Europe, and it's early in the morning here, and there it's already the afternoon. So people have a very busy agenda normally, but nevertheless take the time to help us. Michaela, who gave us the credits for the probes, she was great, and everybody loved trying the internet measurement tools, and of course free of charge, like we Latin Americans love to do so. So what happened? What did we deliver to our community? LACNIC has an enormous potential and very many tools that we should take advantage of. Our ambassador friends, and they were also there as speakers. So thank you so much. At least you visited Ecuador virtually. Then universities, the academia, who really opened up the doors so that I could take this information. And finally, let me tell you what LACNIC gave me in exchange. What did I get from the ambassadors program? Because sometimes if you do voluntary work, well, am I investing for this? But voluntary work is something you deliver, but in exchange you receive something that you cannot buy with money. These are new friends, friendship, individuals who come into our lives and accompany us. I would like to recognize the R&D team. Thank you very much for always being there. Guillermo is a wonderful leader, always looking, receiving us here. And sometimes when we sort of get sidetracked, we have to go back to the right path. So he was very helpful. Elisa, Alejandro, Guillermo Rodriguez, he was a person who helped us with our brands. And like Andres, I had LinkedIn, but I'd never used it. And he said something very interesting for me. Those who wish to be ambassadors, you have to know that there are things like those. Last May last year, he said in March or April, you have a lot of tasks ahead. Last month, I received a proposal from a university to be a pre-graduate professor, and others for a master's degree. But I even received a proposal for from a company in Spain to work as a consultant for Latin America. So that is amazing. And these are things that you reap when you make friends in communities such as these. Thank you, Guillermo Rodriguez, and thank you to the team of social engineers, social section. Then we have the LACNIC campus. Initially, I had the curiosity of where internet came from. They organize amazing courses that provide support of cutting edge information, and I will continue working and participating in LACNIC campus activities. You can say I already got a LACNIC certification. So all these friends, all these colleagues, I cannot mention them one by one for fear of forgetting to mention one. They really provided amazing support. Thank you so much to all of them. And let me say something. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the community, with the Ecuador community. There were about 30 of us. And you know, Ecuador wants to have a voice, a loud voice, and play a role in the building of the internet. Maybe we can also organize a similar event in Galapagos. Who knows? So maybe we can do something in Ecuador, something like this. Sorry, in city in Ecuador, not Galapagos. Sorry, and even Brazil. I even learned some Portuguese.
Y ahora, bueno, la última, estamos un poco.
We are a bit behind. Let's listen to the last presentation by Venezuela. Thank you. I will be brief. I'm Raime Citerio. I'm the R&D ambassador from Venezuela. Let me share with you what we did this year. All this framework was done in the context of VENOG, which is Network Operators Group. We worked with all the members who are part of the various network operators in Venezuela. Special mention, let me make special mention of LACNOG, who allowed us to be consolidated, and also to LACNIC for the support received. The field of work we covered during this year in the task as ambassadors are the creation, capacity building and implementation of IPv6 for ISPs in Venezuela, both in the capital city and the central and western city. We also promoted manners among operators to improve their practices in terms of measurements. And based on the Atlas project, we deployed quite a number of probes and some anchors. Thank you, Michela. Some relevant facts. The initial meeting was held in October 2024. This was a workshop where we had 28 participants from 10 enterprises. These included several ISPs, 4 national ISPs with large number of users, 4 small and medium-sized ISPs, 1 ISPs, NIC.VE, the government regulator, and 1 ISP from the Western region. At the last workshop, which was in April this year, a month ago, a large number of ISP participated, 42 from which 10 are national ISPs, 10 from the Central and Western region, and 1 from the Andes region. In the Caracas region, during that meeting, 70% of the ISP participants stated their interest in implementing this in their operations gradually. And in the central western region, 60% of the ISPs expressed their interest in learning about this and implementing this gradually in their operations. In terms of measurements, following the event in the capital city, physical probes were delivered, 4, in order to deploy them, and now there is interest of an ISPs to deploy 2 anchors, which gradually will be implemented in the coming months. In the central and western region, 5 physical probes were delivered, the 5 are operational, and 1 anchor has been approved and in the process of being configured for the purpose of its deployment. And thank you, Michela, and thank you, Ripe, for the support received over all these years. This is the group that participated in the workshop in October last year in Caracas, and this was the last workshop which was facilitated by Alejandro Costa. Thank you, Alejandro, thank you, Guillermo, thank you, Elisa, for assisting us. These are the different sponsors. Thank you, Technoven, thank you, IP Broker, Digital, other sponsors of these events. And of course, I'd like to thank the Ambassadors Program for all the things that I could develop at personal level and to get support from all my colleague ambassadors. And also thank you, LACNIC, for the wonderful ecosystem. And also thank you to the 2 universities who were the venues, the Central Western University and the University of Venezuela. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, me. With this, we will close. I think each of you has shared your vision. I will repeat that we feel very proud that this was a very successful program in its first edition. We did finish quite on time. We did start later, but you really were strict with your timing, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So let us now go to the coffee break. And once again, the call is open. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much for being part of this. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us during the coffee break or during the remaining of the days we'll be here. Thank you.